It started with a routine city maintenance call. One of those calls that usually ends with a few overtime hours and a story to tell at the bar. But not this time. A construction crew, working deep beneath the streets of an old Eastern European city, was tasked with reinforcing the foundation of an abandoned subway station. A station that had been sealed off since the war, a concrete scar in the city's underbelly. Their drills bit into the thick, aged concrete, and for a while, the only sound was the mechanical scream of metal against stone. Then, a sudden crack, a shudder, and a section of the floor gave way. Instead of hitting solid earth or a forgotten utility line, their lights cut through a cloud of dust to reveal nothing. A void. Cautiously, they peered over the edge. It wasn't a sinkhole, it wasn't a collapsed sewer, it was a staircase, a meticulously carved stone staircase, spiraling down into absolute darkness. There were no blueprints for this, no historical records, no city archives mentioned anything beneath this station. It was as if it had simply appeared. The air that wafted up from the opening was strange. It was warm, humid, and carried a faint coppery smell. But what was most unsettling was the feeling of it. It felt used like air that had been breathed in and out, over and over again, by countless lungs. It felt alive, against their better judgment, driven by a morbid curiosity that outweighed every safety protocol. A small team decided to descend. The foreman, a grizzled man named Ivan, led the way. His powerful flashlight beam the only thing pushing back the oppressive gloom. The stairs were worn smooth in the center, as if from centuries of footfalls. They spiraled down, and down, and down, far deeper than any subway line, deeper than any bomb shelter. They must have descended for a full 10 minutes before the staircase finally leveled out into a long, cavernous hallway. And that's when they saw the doors. Lining both sides of the seemingly endless corridor were hundreds, maybe thousands of heavy iron doors. They were rusted, ancient, and each one had a name crudely carved into the metal. The crew shone their lights across them. Anna Petrova, 1982. Mikhail Volkov, 2005. Elena Popa, 1999. The names were a chilling, silent roll call of the lost. Some were decades old, names that had faded into cold cases and forgotten family tragedies. Others were terrifyingly recent. Ivan recognized one name from a news report, just last year a university student who had vanished on her way home. A cold dread began to seep into their bones, colder than the deepest winter. This wasn't a tomb, it was something else. A profound, unnatural silence filled the space, broken only by the dripping of water somewhere in the distance and their own ragged breaths. Then, a new sound started, faint at first, a soft, rhythmic tapping. Tap, tap, tap. It came from one of the doors, then another, and another. Soon the entire hallway was filled with a chorus of knocking. It wasn't frantic or aggressive. It was slow, weak, exhausted. The sound of a desperate, fading hope. It was the sound of people who had been knocking for a very, very long time. One of the younger workers, a boy no older than 20, began to panic, his breath catching in his throat. He stumbled backward, his light catching something on the floor near the entrance to the hall. It was a small, handheld audio recorder, caked in dust, but with its red recording light still blinking faintly. Ivan picked it up, his hand trembling. He hit the play button. A voice, barely a whisper, raspy and dry, filled the silence between the knocks. "They don't let us die," the voice whispered. "They hear you. They know you're here. Don't let them take you. They make us dig, always digging. When a new one arrives, they just add another door. They don't let us sleep. They don't let us die. They just keep digging." The recording ended with a sudden, sharp gasp, and the sound of something heavy being dragged across stone. A primal terror, the kind that bypasses reason and logic, seized the crew. They didn't say a word. They turned and ran. They scrambled back up the endless staircase, not daring to look behind them, feeling the warm, breathing air chasing at their heels. They burst out into the subway station, gasping for the stale, dusty air of the surface world, which now felt sweeter than anything they had ever breathed. They didn't file a proper report. What could they say? They told their superiors the foundation was unstable, a potential sinkhole, a catastrophic risk. They recommended it be sealed immediately, filled with concrete, and forgotten. The city, eager to avoid a multi-million-dollar geological survey, agreed without question. A week later, a fleet of concrete mixers arrived. For 2 solid days, they pumped thousands of tons of concrete into the hole. entombing the staircase, the hallway, the doors, and the knocking, forever. The crew took a vow of silence, a secret they would carry to their graves. They tried to forget the names, the whispers, the weak, desperate tapping. But you can't seal a thing like that. You can only redirect it. 3 days after the site was officially declared sealed and secure, the first new report came in. A man, walking his dog late at night, vanished. His path took him directly over the old subway station. The next day, a couple disappeared after their car broke down on the same street. Then a teenager on a scooter. One by one, people started vanishing from the blocks directly above the newly sealed tunnel. The missing person posters began to multiply on lampposts, their smiling faces a stark contrast to the growing fear in the city. No one connected the disappearances. It was just another sad, statistical spike in a big city. No one knew that deep beneath their feet, in the eternal, silent darkness, new construction was underway. No one heard the faint scratching of metal on iron as a new name was carefully carved. And no one heard the sound that followed, a soft, weak, desperate knock, joining a chorus that never, ever stops.